just when I thought I would get a small break from covering RE9 until at least Tokyo Game Show earlier today, I guess an embargo lifted featuring the director and other creators of RE9 as a bunch of interviews came out earlier today, which surprisingly revealed a lot of important information regarding Resident Evil Requiem. So, me being who I am, I of course made my way across the internet to grab the juiciest bit of information that I could find from all of these interviews to give you guys the most important details revealed to us at these interviews. For the record, there's a lot of them, and honestly, I really didn't do a great job at keeping track of who said what during which interview. But I promise, everything that I'm about to talk about has officially been confirmed by Capcom to some extent. Side note though, some of these things I'm really shocked that Capcom confirmed, and honestly, I would even count them as being spoilers to some degree. So yeah, even though it is Capcom themselves confirming this information, here's a quick spoiler warning for you guys. Before we get started though, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel for more survival horror content, and more importantly, updates on Resident Evil Requiem. Also, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's topic. Finally, this video is officially sponsored by G Fuel, so if you're looking for ways to support the channel, consider picking up your favorite type of G Fuel using the link below or the code NerdSpaceGames at checkout to save up to 20% off your next order. Anyway, my name is Ruben with NerdSpace Games, and here are 10 important details revealed to us about Resident Evil Requiem. Let's get it. Number 1, the hag is not Lisa Trevor. This might very well be the biggest bit of information revealed to us at these interviews, considering the fact that there's literally a war between fans right now as to who this monster is, Lisa Trevor or Alyssa Ashcroft. Well, there used to be. That's because thanks to one interview, we now have an official confirmation from the director himself that this monster is not Lisa Trevor. In fact, he goes as far as saying that this is a brand new monster in Resident Evil. Worth noting that he doesn't say brand new character, but more on that later. Anyway, the biggest reason why so many people thought this was Lisa Trevor at first was because of the sounds that the creature made during the gameplay showcase revealed to a select few creators at Summer Game Fest. These sounds reminded everybody of the sounds that Lisa Trevor would make in Resident Evil Remake. From the chain dragging against the ground to the screams she made when injured, all of it sounded like Lisa Trevor, and most people, myself included, until the revealed gameplay footage at Gamescom, thought it sounded just like Lisa Trevor. In fact, the director also commented on this as they admitted to reusing assets for this monster, and that what we're hearing right now will not be in the final version of the game. It's actually really weird that the director debunked one of the biggest and most exciting fan theories out there right now, but this deconfirmation sets the stage for the other big theory to be true now, that this monster is Alyssa Ashcroft. In fact, there's another bit of information revealed to us that's gone under the radar that hints towards this monster being her more now than ever. So yeah, that brings us to the next bit of important information revealed to us in these interviews. Number 2, codename Big Mama. As with most video games during the development phase, different unnamed creatures, characters, and locations are usually given codenames until the final product is complete. In the case of the new stalker enemy chasing Grace in the playable demo, she was given the codename Big Mama. Interesting name to say the least, considering the fact that the biggest theory right now regarding as to who this monster is points towards Grace's mother, Alyssa Ashcroft. With Lisa Trevor being debunked now, and the fact that for whatever reason the scene of Alyssa dying was cut off in the trailer, yeah, more and more things are leaning towards the fact that this monster is indeed a mutated Alyssa Ashcroft, meaning that Grace, poor Grace, will need to kill her mother in order to survive. That is actually really heartbreaking. Other bits of information point towards Alyssa being the monster as well, things I covered in previous videos of mine. Grace getting Alyssa's gun later in the game, the shape of the monster's face and color of her hair being similar to Alyssa, and the fact that Maggie Robertson has experience with voicing terrifying monstrous mother figures in the Resident Evil franchise already, and the fact that it sounds like she's voicing Alyssa Ashcroft too. Yeah, things are not looking good for the Ashcroft family right now. Speaking of the Ashcroft family, one interesting theory that I had about Alyssa is actually confirmed in these interviews as well. Number 3, Alyssa's investigation confirmed. It's actually kind of funny that this was officially confirmed 2 days after I dropped a video on the 13 biggest questions that I had about Resident Evil Requiem, as one interview answered one of my questions from that video. What was Alyssa investigating at the start of the Gamescom trailer? Well, it was sort of answered. In that video, I talked about how I believe that Alyssa was investigating this hidden truth about Raccoon City that Capcom teased in their synopsis of the game on their website. One of my theories also mentioned that the government or some other organization was looking to silence Alyssa because of what she found out from her investigation, and that's why she was killed. Well, thanks to another interview, we learned that the reason why they chose to bring Alyssa back was because of her reporting skills and her connection to the cover-up of Raccoon City. In fact, they even confirmed that she was killed because of the hidden truth that she learned about Raccoon City, and Requiem will be a passing of the torch to Grace, her daughter, in the way that Grace can complete Alyssa's investigation following her death. This is another weird thing to confirm in the interviews, in my opinion, but honestly, after the Gamescom trailer, it really isn't too shocking to find out that this is the reason why Alyssa was killed. Still, I think there's a lot more that Capcom hasn't revealed to us in terms of this hidden truth, like the connection it has to the Daylight vaccine and why this organization needs to drain Grace's blood for it. Number 4, Raccoon City, not the only setting in Requiem. Probably the least surprising confirmation of the information revealed to us in these interviews is the fact that Raccoon City will not be the only setting in Requiem, considering the fact that the short section shown to us at Gamescom takes place in Redwood Hotel, which is clearly not Raccoon City, plus the fact that the hospital section in which the demo takes place looks to be in Rhodes Hill, a neighboring community of Raccoon City. Yeah, I think most of us already figured this out by now. Still, it was nice to officially hear confirmation that there will be other locations explored outside of Raccoon City. It does, however, beg the question, how many locations can we expect? Well, as already said, we know that Redwood Hotel and the hospital don't appear to take place in Raccoon City, so there's 2 locations outside of Raccoon City at the very least. I can't imagine there's a reason to explore anything outside of Rhodes Hill and Raccoon City, so my guess is that we'll mostly be exploring these key locations that we've already been introduced to. Although, I gotta say, I wouldn't be against exploring the Arklay Mountains to some extent and even seeing the ruins of either the Spencer Mansion or the abandoned hospital located in the mountains somewhere. Number 5, zombies and other returning monsters are coming back. My favorite confirmation in these interviews is the fact that zombies will be returning in Resident Evil Requiem. Actually, not only are they returning, but the director actually hinted at the fact that other recognizable creatures will be returning as well, some of which may look a little different than we remember, or at the very least, we'll see creatures heavily inspired by past monsters of the franchise. Considering the fact that one of the main settings of Resident Evil Requiem is Raccoon City, I feel like this opens the door for any POW that we saw in RE2, RE3, and even Outbreak. The first one that comes to mind, and that makes the most sense to me, is the Licker. That creature is infamous for being all over Raccoon City, and while it's been featured in other games to a certain extent, the Lickers are most notable for their appearance during the Raccoon City outbreak specifically. Another monster that could be featured, or at the very least provide inspiration for a new creature, would be the Hunters. I do think they make a lot of sense for what Resident Evil Requiem is trying to do. Interesting fact about the zombies on RE9 though. Apparently, while they are familiar to the zombies that we remember, there's something new and different about them, probably in regards to this black liquid-like effect that they appear to have throughout the trailers. On that note, I know that we all have speculated that zombies would be in RE9 since the cop zombie in that initial trailer at Summer Game Fest, but at the same time, we really haven't seen any gameplay with these zombies yet. Some of us were actually a little bit worried that they could just be flashback sequences or something else that didn't exactly have us fighting them, so therefore they weren't exactly really fully in the game. Well, thanks to this interview, we know that that is not the case at all, and thankfully they look like they're going to play a key part in this game. Number 6, the scariest Resident Evil game yet. We already knew that the franchise was going to be leaning back into its horror roots, especially since the director of Resident Evil 7 was brought on to direct this next entry. However, with how successful Resident Evil 4 Remake was, yeah, there was some concern that the game might feature some action that'll make it less scary than RE7. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case at all. Not only is Resident Evil Requiem leaning more towards horror, but they are trying to do so in a much bigger way than ever before, as their goal is to make the scariest Resident Evil game yet. That's a pretty ambitious goal, but after seeing what they deliver with RE7 plus the demo that we saw at Gamescom, yeah, I can definitely see this game taking over the title as scariest Resident Evil game thus far. On the note of comparing this game to past Resident Evil games, the creators also mentioned that they want to take a deep dive into the lore of Resident Evil and make connections to different points of the franchise. Again, this really shouldn't come too much of a surprise to us since they are revisiting Raccoon City and learning about this hidden truth regarding the outbreak, plus we see Alyssa returning in this game, a protagonist from a spin-off game of the franchise. Still, I gotta say, it's nice to know that Requiem appears to be giving fans exactly what they want. More horror driven, connected to the lore of Resident Evil instead of ignoring it completely, and even giving us multiple perspectives so that fans that prefer first person or third person can both be happy. Number 7, heavy focus on mystery in Resident Evil Requiem. While on the topic of the theme surrounding Resident Evil Requiem, another one that has been talked about a lot during multiple interviews is this hidden truth. In fact, that this game will feature a deep focus on solving a mystery. Actually, the director talked about some of the inspirations of Requiem which influenced this game, like 7 and the X-Files. These properties had a dark take on mysteries, with the X-Files reference intriguing me the most. Clearly, this hidden truth in regards to Raccoon City is going to be a big one, and with them talking about how important the mystery side of the game is, I think we're in for some really big twists. I know I'm really back and forth about my Spencer theory and how likely it is, but this is something that adds a little more credibility to him. It also heavily implies how corrupt this government might be and involved in this game, as this hidden truth is most likely to out them to the world if uncovered. Hence why they had Alyssa Was Killed. All in all, I'm very excited about the concept of solving a mystery while battling these creatures of Resident Evil, as it tells me that there will probably be some shocking revelations revealed to us by the time the credits roll. I for one can't wait to find out what twists lie in store for us when uncovering this hidden truth in Resident Evil Requiem. Number 8, multiple face models confirmed. Something interesting, yet a relatively small bit of information compared to most of this list, is the confirmation of the face models for both Grace and Alyssa Ashcroft. Obviously, the face models of these characters alone doesn't necessarily mean much in terms of the grand scheme of things, but the main reason I want to bring this up is because of a different face model that was revealed earlier this month. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was this girl that revealed that she was a face model for a character in the game, and she even went as far as saying that she was a model for a playable character in the game. Granted, that was taken down not long after she said this, but this could have also been taken out of context, and she might have misunderstood her role, but the fact is that she confirmed that she was a face model in this game for someone. Now, with confirmation of the face models for Grace and Alyssa, this leads me to think that this girl is probably the face model of whoever this mysterious woman is in Rhodes Hill. We don't really know much about this character, but I will say that if this is indeed the face model for that character, then my Yoku theory is probably out the window now. It also turns our attention to another character that people were comparing this face model to earlier, Natalia Corda. I mean, let's be real, what's the chances that Alex Wesker is still in the game despite Maggie Robertson appearing to voice Alyssa? It's still possible, and if this character in Rhodes Hill is Alex Wesker, then it makes more sense as to why she would be here. Add that to the face model having a slight resemblance to an older Natalia Corda, and yeah, I definitely can't rule out that possibility. Still, I'm on the train of it not being Alex Wesker, mainly because I'm confident that Maggie is voicing Alyssa, and if Alex Wesker is indeed in this game, I feel like Capcom would have wanted her to voice her instead because, let's be real, perfect casting right there. Number 9, runtime of Resident Evil Requiem. I think this piece of information is subjective because everyone plays games at their own pace, but based on what developers have said during interviews, it looks like Resident Evil 9 will be roughly the same length as Resident Evil 4 Remake. What that means specifically, I'll leave that to you guys. HowLongToBeat.com, for example, has Resident Evil 4 running about 16 hours long, while I personally took about 12 hours to beat the game on my first playthrough. So I'm thinking it'll probably be somewhere in the middle. If I had to put a number on it though, I'm just gonna go with 12 hours still, because that just feels right based on everything we know about this game, how it's supposed to bounce back and forth between two styles of gameplay featuring two protagonists, and with the amount of locations we know about so far. Either way, this is supposed to be the most ambitious game yet, and considering how long this game has been in development, I would be shocked if it's at least not in double digits in terms of how long this first playthrough of the game will be. The final thing that I want to talk about is probably the bit of news that honestly breaks my heart the most, but at the same time makes a lot of sense. Unlike the creators interview at the Capcom Spotlight event, Capcom didn't beat around the bush in terms of straight out telling us that Chris Redfield will not be in Resident Evil. Actually, the quote they use is a little interesting, but before I touch on that, here's the direct quote. Rest assured, I'm sure Chris is out in action somewhere in the world, but for now, we're not really looking at him. While the quote clearly tells us that he's not going to be the rumored playable second protagonist, it also kind of hints at a different possibility. Maybe we'll get an Easter egg or a reference to what he might be doing in this game. Like clearly, unlike how they avoided the question altogether with Leon last time, they straight up told us that he's not in the game, but based on this quote, we can probably expect a quick reference to him for sure. This also makes me want to revisit those voices back in the trailer, as a lot of people have been saying that one of those voices is Chris Redfield. While I do think it's the voice of Jeff Shine, the voice of Chris in Village, this interview confirms that he's not returning to voice Chris in RE9. Instead, we're left with two remaining possibilities. He's voicing Carlos, which is very unlikely in my opinion, or he's voicing a brand new character, which has been done multiple times before in the series. In fact, as I just said, Jeff Shine himself has done this before, as he voiced both Chris in Village and Carlos in RE3 Remake. I mentioned this in my last video, but I think the person that Jeff Shine is voicing, assuming it is him, is an informant that Alyssa is meeting with prior to her coming back to the hotel at the start of the game. But let me know what you guys think about this one. Are you sad or happy about Chris not returning? Now that he's officially confirmed not to be in the game, who do you think that voice was in the trailer? But that does it for this episode of Nerdspace Games. Hit up the comments and let me know which detail are you most excited about. For me, it's the confirmation that not only are zombies returning, but other monsters from previous games are coming back too. At least some inspiration from them are coming back. Anyway, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more survival horror content and Resident Evil Requiem updates. And also leave a like on today's video if you enjoyed today's topic. But thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next episode of Nerdspace Games. Take care.